Thank you. Welcome to Empowered to Grow, the podcast. I am your host, Hanan Al-Basha. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Empowered to Grow in Business podcast. This is your host, Hanan Al-Basha. I'm so happy to be bringing, as well as always, I'm always happy bringing this podcast to you, but today it's going to be a solo episode. And it's kind of the pre-vacation / year-end rush episode, and then I'm going to take a break for a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be seeing you at the beginning of 2025. So super excited about that as well. Today is all about the path to your first yes. And why is your first yes very important as a business owner, especially as a small business owner, as a startup owner? That first yes is your validation. It's someone saying, yeah, I get what you're doing. I need your service or your product, and I'm willing to pay for it. And I think that is the most important yes that you will get. Does that mean that every other meeting after that will be a yes, 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 yes? No, it's not. Does that mean you get the first yes with the first meeting? No. Probably you'll get 100 no's before you get the first yes, and that's okay. But what is important? Why do we say the path to the first yes, and why it's a whole journey? Because to get to that means that you have managed to nail at least preliminary nailing of your understanding what the problem is, where the gap is that you are filling. How big is it? Who are you serving? How are you serving them? What's your solution? The clarity of your solution, your offering, your product or your service. You kind of nailed on the pricing and the delivery, or understanding the customer, at least understanding how that product or service is going to be delivered. And why are these components super important? Because that's what we keep talking about on setting the foundation for your business. If you've heard me before, you've heard me talk about your business DNA. That is the validation that your business DNA makes sense enough for someone else to say, yep, I'm willing to give this a try. Does that mean that that customer is going to be a forever customer? We hope. And that's why we keep talking about customer retention, because of course, once you get that first yes, retaining that customer could be much easier and much less expensive than acquiring a new one. But at least it is the first yes. So every time any of the founders that I'm mentoring asks me, okay, what do I need to do now? Or we look at their pitch decks and we analyze, or, we have the breakthrough sessions, which I love doing, is we analyze the components of the business DNA, and see where are the yeses being blocked. Meaning you have a product. Say, for example, you make candles, which is amazing. I love candles. And you get your first yes, whether that order came on Facebook or Instagram or through your website or through Shopify, or wherever you are connecting with your customers. Now, that yes could be impeded by how you're going to deliver it. Do you already have an agreement in place with a delivery service, which are part of the logistics supply chain of yours? Are you going to personally deliver it? Do you have a timeline for that? Or how are you going to receive the payment? Do you have like a payments platform or gateway, Stripe, PayPal, whatever it is, any other local or regional solutions that you are going to be receiving? Are you going to be receiving a transfer? Is it a direct online debit on whatever platform you're using, and then you are getting that into your account? These are the things we are talking about when it comes to your first yes. Payments as well is one of those things that impede a yes, because you have to be clear on it. What are your payment terms? And if it's a substantial amount, do you have a payment plan? Are you expecting a 50% upfront and then 50% on the delivery of the service? Again, is it a bank account? Is it a transfer? Is it a debit card, credit card? What are those? And trust me, I've lost quite a few sales when I first started because of that, because I wasn't clear, because I wasn't sure. And more importantly, and I know we keep talking, again, once you set up a venture, a legal venture, a registered one, you need to have some documentation. But sometimes it gets a bit difficult, especially for those service-based businesses that, okay, I don't want to get lawyers and stuff, but there are tons of solutions online now that give you at least a template of an agreement, an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, a letter of intent, at least, so you don't go off and you start preparing whatever the product or the service without someone saying, yeah, initially I'm interested, I'm going to be paying. So these are the things that you need to consider. But more importantly, what that, and you know what, I do that by email sometimes. It's just like, okay, now you've agreed. Let's just document this. Let's put this in an email so you know what you're receiving. Okay. And why is that important? Is that email becomes part of your SOP or standard operating procedure that clarifies or reiterates what is the product or the offering, like the service of product. What are the dates that they're expecting? So you're managing the expectations as well. What are the payment terms? What exactly would be delivered, especially if it's a service, like, is it a number of sessions? Is it a report? Is it a market research? What is the duration? What if they expand it or extend it? And that's where it gets to draw kind of longer than you expected. And that's where you kind of start losing money, because what you thought they are paying for, say, for example, a month of service, now that has been extended 2 months. So this is where you draw kind of the clarity of the agreement. And again, if it's a product, how long should it be kind of for you to be able to produce it? Or if it's already there, how long will it be delivered? What are the terms and conditions of if it's malfunctioning or if it's broken? Or those are the kind of things that would set up the foundation for your yes. And we don't think enough about them. Business owners don't think enough about them, especially in the initial phases, because they just want to get it out. And I know startups is all about test and iterate and test and validate and test and iterate and keep trying. And yes, but keep trying with what? You cannot put something out that has all the unknown deliverables and parameters and expect that to work and then hope that you can recreate that recipe again because that worked the first time. And that's why that's why I talk about the SOP, the standard operating procedure. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. It just means this is what I'm doing. This is who I'm selling it to, what the product or the service that I'm providing to that person. This is exactly the details of it. This is how long it will be to deliver it. This is how we're getting paid. And if there's a guarantee or a feedback period or something like that, this is all part of your SOP. It could be literally 5 lines, or it could be 5 pages, or it could be 50 pages, depending again on the complexity of what you are providing. So this is when it comes, as we were saying, the journey to the first yes. How do you get there? Customer validation, market validation, idea validation. And this is why we keep talking about you need to talk to the people who are your potential customers. You need to go out and see what others are doing, that competitive landscape we keep talking about. What's out there? What are the others doing? What can you do differently? But more importantly, who can you serve? And it's not just, and I know I've said this over and over again, I'm going to say it again. It is not just about if someone is interested in what you are doing, that they're interested, that it is fulfilling or relieving a pain that they've got, and more importantly, that they're willing to pay for it. And these are kind of the 3 basic things between the market validation, customer validation, the idea validation, and now you get to building and delivering on that promise or that initial promise that you've done, hoping for that first yes. Now, from the first yes, the journey continues to the 6-figure handshake. And this is where it gets exciting. It might not be you, again, going back to the example we started with, you're making candles. Chances are you will not create a 6-figure candle that sells for a candle that sells for 6 figures, which is like, let's say $100,000. The minimum of the 6 figures, not the $999,999,000. Chances are not that, but that 6-figure handshake could be that deal that now you are selling to a retailer, that now you are, opening up a supply chain that you hadn't thought of and everything else. And why the six-figure handshake? And I'll tell you where the analogy came from. And then when I reflected on it, how that reflected my own business. A few years ago, during lockdown, during the COVID times, there was, for those who weren't on it, there was Clubhouse, which was very, very popular at the time. And Clubhouse was realistically just an audio platform where people connected from around the world. So they're like rooms, and you go in, and they're like everyone was on Clubhouse. Everyone was talking. It was kind of literally a way to fill the gap and still connect with people because we were all locked down in our own houses around the world. And I was in this room that had a lot of business people, mostly from the States, and they were talking about, how's this going to shape up? Now we're being locked down. We don't get to connect. We don't get to see each other. And one of them said, and that was also part of the discussion, was talking about taxes and where would be a better tax place. And I can't remember, I think it was Puerto Rico that people were trying to kind of move their business there because the taxes were a bit better. But then someone said, yeah, but if I'm there, I'm not going to be attending events around the US specifically. He was referring to that. And I don't know when I'm going to get my next six-figure handshake. I'm like, that's interesting. And that is another element that is really, really important. And again, something I keep reiterating to everyone I work with and everyone I mentor is you got to put yourself out there. That meeting that is social, unintentional, or even in a work setting, or in a conference setting, or in a specific exhibition setting that is related to your field and what you do, could be your next six-figure handshake. It could be, oh, I'm interested, thank you. And this is like, now you sign your $100,000 deal. In my own life, the first of the few businesses, one of them was in fine foods retail, which meant that we sold the most amazing tea, chocolate, biscuits, and coffee from around the world. And setting up the retail outlet was a luxurious one. It was amazing. It took a lot of work. Did a lot of events to lead me there that we call tea tastings, and people came and tasted the stuff and tried it. And I used to kind of show them how to create the teas because there were very, very specific teas, like white teas, which we're not used to. It's not like boil some water and put it on and now you've got a cup of tea. And it was because of putting myself out there and over again that I got the opportunity to have a meeting with the CEO of a major bank here in Qatar. And I was selling him gift packs, luxurious gift packs for their customer database. And I walked out of that meeting with a six-figure handshake. Well, it was double six-figure handshake. It was amazing. But that's the point. It doesn't just happen. It didn't happen in opening night. Oh, this is nice. Let me give you something. Or I want you to do something for me. It's something you work towards. And this is why it's important that we talk about the journey and the path from that first yes to the six-figure. It's showing up. It's talking about what you're doing. I used to refer to myself as my best kept secret before because I literally didn't show up. I was so traumatized from work and from business and everything else. I just didn't want to. And I only got business through my friends or referrals of my friends, which was harming me because I'm not serving. I'm not stepping up to my purpose of being able to serve. So this is really important that you set yourself up on a path to get from that first yes to the six-figure handshake, the seven-figure, the 8, the 9, hopefully. But you have to be consistent. You have to show up. You have to have a system that says, okay, we're on to now what? You don't have to wonder now what every time you get a yes, every time someone is interested even in your product or your service. You have kind of customized. This is okay, great. Let's set up a meeting. This is my meeting link. Let's set up kind of a discovery call. This is a discovery. Let me show you our prototype or a demo. This is the demo. You have the components in place that you're just plugging them in as needed. Because that flustering is like, oh my God, someone is interested. It's like, are you in business by surprise? You're not. You are here to create this, to be able to create this opportunity for yourself, for your co-founders, for your employees, for your market, you are here to serve, and you cannot serve by being flustered all the time. So these are just some of the thoughts that I wanted to share with you today. Just kind of reflect on them, see how ready your infrastructure is to actually receive that first yes. Will that change? Of course. But we also have tools, and we have platforms, and we have AI that supports us now. My calendar is automated now. I don't have to think about it. I've just set it up ages ago. Someone is interested, here's my calendar. Someone wants to pay me, here's a payment link. Someone wants, and there's integration, of course. And this is where we keep talking as well about the AI tools. I can't believe that there's still people out there that miss a meeting because they haven't synchronized their calendar. You're in business. You will most probably have more than one email. You have a smartphone. 99.9% of the time, chances are you have a smartphone, which is supposed to do that. It's supposed to be acting smart for you. Use its utilities. There are online payment platforms now. There are emails that can be automated. There are links and pitch decks that should look representative of who you are and your vision and your brand. You're not expected just to do a PowerPoint that you used to do in your corporate job 20 years ago. You're supposed to dazzle and sparkle and not like overdo it, but it needs to be presentable. It needs to look good. It needs to be readable, and it needs to convey your product or your service. And these are all the components. Think of it as a puzzle. It's like bringing one piece. First, you're going to start with a 10-piece puzzle. And then that's going to be the 100, and then it's going to be the 1,000. And as you get bigger, the puzzle gets bigger and the pieces get bigger. But the whole point is to make sure that they're all integrated, to be able to deliver similarly, consistently, with the same quality and the brand promise on each yes you get along your path. I wish you a lot of yeses, and I wish that you are prepared to receive and keep receiving every time there's an opportunity for you. But again, don't sit back and expect these opportunities to fall in your lap. I hope that you prepare yourself for them. I think it's Oprah who said, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. You need to be prepared, and you need to go out and seek these opportunities so your luck switches around. And you go from 100 no's to one yes to one big 6-figure yes. So I hope today you got some value from, what we discussed today. And I hope that you always get a lot of value from Empowered to Grow in Business podcast. Please do reach out if there is a topic or a guest that you feel we need to cover. We're more than happy to cover it. And as I said, I'm going to be taking a break till 2025. So very cheesy. 2 weeks off, coming back next year. Again, very cheesy. I apologize. But I hope you have a great break if you're able to. And even if you're overwhelmed and overloaded, make sure you at least take a few hours break, a few minutes break. Just do what you can to give yourself the space and the bandwidth to be able to do every day like it's a whole new day and a whole new year. And as always, I wish that 2025 and every day until then and every day beyond then brings you a lot of love, abundance, and prosperity. And I'll see you next time. Until then, take care. And remember that empowered you empowers others. Lots of love from me. I'm Hanan Al-Basha, and I'll see you in 2025. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Grow podcast. I'll catch you on the next episode. And until then, know that empowered you empowers others. Love, abundance, and prosperity to you all.